Good evening and welcome to FSU Weather. I'm student meteorologist Jennifer Collins.
And I'm student meteorologist Alyssa Pedrick.
We had a nice, beautiful day. It was a bit chilly when we started out the day, wasn't it?
Yes, you could definitely feel the wind going into class, and it's being around 10 miles per hour, so you could definitely feel that throughout your day.
Yeah, we had a northerly wind, so when I woke up this morning, I was like, ooh, it's a little chilly. Just a little bit.
But we will continue to heat up going through the rest of the week. Going into this weekend, we could possibly reach 80 degrees.
Yeah, it'll be a nice time to head outside this weekend because temperature's going to be nice. It's going to be nice and clear, too. So.
I just love not sweating going to class. That's
yeah.
definitely my favorite thing right now. I'm not complaining about how cool it is.
But tonight here on FSU Weather, we are giving you the full forecast. We even have some lab segments, as well as picking out our new state for next week and going over our state this week, which I think is Oklahoma. We're going to be forecasting Oklahoma.
Very excited to see what we're going to pick next.
Yeah, and another
we got a basketball game tonight.
Yeah, we have a basketball game tonight.
Very exciting. Possibly might win and go into the Elite Eight. So definitely very exciting. Root on for your Knowles. Definitely take that time if you have time tonight to watch the game. But we're actually going to send it on out for the overview of Sammy.
Okay, thank you guys. So right now, earlier today, we were actually dipping into the 40s, which is very cool compared to what we were having the past few weeks. So pretty much all around the Big Bend region, you see temperatures ranging from low 40s, 41, Marianna and Quincy, but in Tallahassee, it's 43 degrees earlier this morning. But taking a look at our satellite and radar from today, you can see pretty much nothing on the majority of Georgia, Alabama, and Florida. Not much cloud coverage or rain that passed through our area, but we will see maybe a chance of rain coming up later into this weekend. We'll see. But for your 3-day forecast, we're looking at Friday to be nice and comfortable around 72 degrees with that low dipping into the 40s and just warming up into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But for coming up, last chance of looking at the 30s and a gradual warm up. But for now, I'm going to take it back to the desk to see Alyssa and Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you, Sammy, for that overview. And we're going to pick a state for next week's state of the week that we go over a forecast with. Alyssa, will you pick a state?
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to close my eyes since I'm not cheating. All right. So it is Colorado.
Great. So yeah, so this week we're going to go over Oklahoma, but next week we will have Colorado. So we'll give you the full forecast next Thursday here on FSU Weather, but we're actually going to send things out to the wall with Sydney right now for a local.
Yay for Colorado. That's an awesome state. I'm sure we're excited here at FSU Weather to forecast for them. As for here in Tallahassee, it's a good time to get outside and get that vitamin D because the sun has been shining and will continue shining into the rest of our week. As for right now, we have 65-degree temperatures and a very low dew point at 26 degrees. So it is time to get that lotion out and that chapstick because spring is here. As for temperatures around the region, we are seeing temperatures in the mid-60s, 65 in Tallahassee, and down on the coast a little bit cooler, Apalachicola at 67, but for most of the region, mid-60s, so very comfortable out there, and this radar is comfortable as well because it's showing no clouds and no rain in sight. So this is what our radar will be looking like into the rest of the week, and we can't be more excited because take a look. There's only just a little pop-up that comes over Mississippi, and for all we know, it could be some birds that are catching on that radar, so things are looking very clear in the entire southeast. As for our wind speeds, that is something that isn't as comfortable. If you are going outside, make sure you put your hair up and you're not wearing a loose skirt because these winds are ramping up. 14 miles an hour in Bainbridge, 16 in Thomasville, and calm in Monticello right now. So but these winds will be sticking around. I know that there are gusts up to 28 miles an hour as we went into our morning this morning. As for dew points, that northwesterly wind is bringing in dry air from the continental United States, and 26 in St. Mark's, 26 in Tallahassee. As for Carabel and Apalachicola, they're only seeing 30 and they're on the coast. So dry around the entire region. The drought monitor, this isn't going to necessarily help that drought. Yellow in Tallahassee, so that is abnormally dry and moderate for Thomasville. Actually, Tallahassee just got out of their drought. They were in the yellow, and now, after all that rain that we received, no longer in a drought, but some of the region still is. Into the futurecast, this isn't going to help our drought the next week because we are going to be seeing that sun. Not many showers in the area, so futurecast looking a lot like today. Into our day planner tomorrow, if you're waking up, grab that sweater with those 42-degree temperatures. Around noon, 62 degrees, so time to take that sweater off unless you're going for a long walk and you get caught in that wind. And at 4 p.m., 70 degrees, so the entire day you're going to need your sunglasses. Don't forget to keep those with you. Into our week ahead, Friday and Saturday are seeing 70-degree temperatures, and those will be your beach days. Into Sunday and Monday, some clouds are popping up and a small potential for rain, but don't count too heavily on that. As we go into, we're going to send it off to Sammy with a look at the allergy report.
Thank you, Sydney. So like you were saying, spring is here, and with spring, it means allergies for most people like myself. So we're going to take a look at what the pollen counts and kind of like what they mean. So the most common types come from trees, including pine, maple, oak, and cedar. Also very common is grass and weeds, including ragweed, and also mold. So these are the most common types of allergies that you do get in the spring. So Tallahassee's pollen report from today was around a 10.3 out of a scale out of 12. So there are different scales, which I will get into in a second, but our tree pollen was the most active at high. Also with our grass pollen was very high today. So these pollen levels are at a near seasonal peak right now. So we have scales going from none all the way to very high, pretty much out of every single allergy report you will see, whether it's your newspaper or online. But things to keep note of if you are looking at a allergy report, if you think your allergies are going to flare up. These pollen increases after rain, windy days, morning and midday, and cool nights and warm days. So mostly spring weather, that's when you see the majority of these allergies flaring up. So which pollen count to keep use of? Well, kind of like how meteorology is, we use different models to predict the weather, and an allergist does the same. So they use different tools to determine what that count is around. So the pollen concentration standards are from the past 3 days up to 24 hours into the next 3 days as well. So this is pollen grains per cubic meter. But now I'm going to take it over to the wall with Jake.
All right, thanks a lot, Sammy. With the sun shining as bright as it is in the southeast, you might consider this boring weather, but as I'm about to show, there's actually a lot of cool stuff to look at, starting off with the current temperature spread, and you see that be really pronounced when you look from west to east here. 70s out in Louisiana as well as parts of Texas, but over here in North Carolina and Tennessee, the roll of the Appalachians really helping to cool things down with a temperature of 54 degrees in Charlotte. And you see the effects of that cold front that passed through Florida also in this 24-hour dew point change. We're 19 degrees lower in that respect in both Orlando and Miami than we were at this time yesterday. Negative values anywhere else essentially that you look except for off to the west where we're starting to see evidence of our next system moving its way into the southeast. The actual dew points themselves, the two features that I really want to point out is again these slight increases over in parts of Texas, but really over here in Florida is where it's phenomenal. 19-degree dew point in Orlando. I can't tell you the last time I've seen anything like that. And the reason that this is the case is those winds. A lot of the day we've seen these northwesterlies, and it happened to work out just perfectly enough where these winds are essentially blowing over land the entire time, negating the influence of both the Gulf and Atlantic with some pretty strong wind speeds of about 15 miles per hour, bringing in that cooler and drier air from the north. Satellite and radar, quiet everywhere you look. Sydney had already said it might just be the birds out there, some of those little green specks that you see all over the place, but nothing to be worried about for now. With that drought situation, we've already looked at things locally out in Texas. It's more of a widespread feature, as well as up in Oklahoma, where we see this really strong contrast between the eastern and western parts of the state and exceptional drought in parts of northwestern Oklahoma. Watches and warnings right now, a couple areas that I want to really focus in on is Central Florida here, where we have a fire weather warning that's active until 8 p.m. for Orange, Osceola, and Seminole County. Some of the more highly populated areas such as Orlando, as well as a freeze warning in parts of the Carolinas as well as eastern Tennessee, including cities like Charleston, Columbia, and Knoxville up in Tennessee. As far as the forecast goes, really starting to cool things down tonight across the eastern portion of the southeast. 33 degrees is going to be your low in Charlotte, 41 in Tallahassee, 44 up in Tupelo. And for tomorrow, sunshine pretty much everywhere across the board with those temperatures largely in the 60s and 70s, 74 degrees under bright and sunny skies down in Orlando. But for now, we're going to go to the desk with Michael and Sammy to talk about what you can do for NASA.
Thanks, Jake. So when we're looking at satellite, we look at all these clouds. We have infrared, we have normal satellite. So we have all these different types of satellite. So NASA wants to improve their satellite system so actually just the public can actually improve it. So they're starting this new experiment, as I say.
Yeah, actually, anyone can contribute by using the app that NASA just recently launched.
Yeah, so they want to like find out about these clouds, so they want to know, want you to take pictures of clouds.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm saying right now, but they want you to take up to 10 photos a day between now and April 15th. And it's important because during the seasons, you have different types of clouds. During the winter time, they're more stratiform clouds, meaning they're more level. But during the summer, you have those high cloud tops, those thunderstorm clouds, as we refer to them. So it will help them improve their satellite images in the future.
Yeah, NASA can actually see these images and compare it to their own images as well. So this is a very useful tool that you could take use of as well. But for now, we are going to take it over with Alyssa.
Thank you, guys. I know we're talking about NASA taking pictures for clouds, but that's something we did not see today going throughout your day. Looking at today's almanac, we can see our temperatures are below average for our actual highs as well as our lows. We are below average. That is because that front pusher leaving us with cooler, drier air, which you can see over the past few hours, we haven't been heating up tremendously, even going towards typically our high temperature around 3 p.m. So our high today was 65 degrees and pretty much stayed stagnant throughout the afternoon, now cooling down. Tonight's low we're seeing as 43 degrees in Tallahassee, Quincy 41, and towards the coast a little bit cooler, Appalachia cooler because of the water. But looking towards temperatures, here in the Big Bend, we're staying primarily in the upper 60s as well as mid 60s. We're seeing here in Tallahassee 65 degrees, Wilma 66, and around Apalachicola at 67 degrees. And it's been pretty dry outside. You can notice that going to class, you probably didn't feel like you were swimming going to class. And that's because looking at these dew points, they're really low. And I always like to point out they're not an actual temperature. It really just gauges how humid it is outside. So these temperatures being already in the 20s is very low. So here in Tallahassee, 26 degrees, Wilma 26, and Mariana, as you move a little bit further north, 33 degrees. So very dry outside, not many clouds. Looking at the satellite and radar, not much in terms of clouds. Like I said before, nothing really with rain as well, and that will continue to persist going in through the weekend. As I look at this futurecast, really not much here in the southeast in terms of rain, but as time does go on, our next rainmaker from the west will continue to push going into Sunday. So going into tonight, if you do have any plans, it will be getting pretty chilly as we go from 10 p.m. 51 degrees going to 48 degrees. So if you do have plans, definitely bring that jacket around. It will not be a bad idea, maybe even a windbreaker. Looking at the week ahead, we can see that the temperatures will begin to heat up going into this weekend. We'll see tomorrow 72 degrees, and going into this weekend, it could even get to 83 degrees. So that is very, very hot and humid. Definitely go to the pool if you have time for that. And our overnight lows we're seeing in the upper 60s. Even going into the overnight hours on Saturday, we're seeing it at 59 degrees. So that is way above average. For this time of year, we're supposed to see overnight lows in the upper 40s. So it is very humid on that night, as well as going in through the rest of the week. We're going to see our next rainmaker possibly going into Monday, 20% chance of rain, and the temperature is continuing to be in the upper 70s, low 80s. So I'm going to actually pass it on over to Michael to look around Oklahoma.
Yeah, so let's take a look at our State of the Week, Oklahoma, home of Colby, who's actually one of our team members here at FSU Weather. So shout out to you, Colby. But across the state of Oklahoma, you can see we're mainly in the 70s, 77 in the capital, Oklahoma City, 78 in Guymon. So it is a very warm across Oklahoma, much warmer than they actually been these last few days. As we go into the satellite and radar, you see that high pressure is actually over the Gulf, bringing in very clear and tranquil conditions across the entire state of Oklahoma. You can see some of these clouds here, but they're not precipitating clouds, so it's been mainly clear across Oklahoma these last few days. But you notice the winds are coming out from the south, bringing in that warmer air. That's why it's so warm across the entire state of Oklahoma. And as usual, the plain states are known for their gusty winds. So you can see in Oklahoma City, 21 miles per hour as your wind right now. And in Ponca City, 13 miles per hour as your wind right now. Futurecast shows you that the clouds mainly stay away from the state for the first part, but then you see clouds building a little bit as a very weak frontal system makes its way through the state, but you don't see any rain across the entire state, so that's a good news. But for tonight, with those southerly winds and some cloud cover starting to make its way through, the temperatures remain warm, 56 in Oklahoma City, 48 in Guymon, and for tomorrow, pretty similar as today. 74 in Oklahoma City, but actually look at Guymon. With it being next to the Rockies, you get those winds coming down the Rockies, and it's going to be much warmer in Guymon compared to Oklahoma City. 88 up towards Guymon. But for now, let's send it off to Jake with a look at Florida's fire conditions.
Thanks a lot, Michael. The drought in northwestern Oklahoma provides a pretty good segue here to start talking about the risk of fire danger, specifically what we're seeing in Florida with these dry conditions that have been occurring. Here's a graph that shows what's called the forecast fire danger indices for today. This was how it was earlier. And you see these reds and purples down in the southern part of Florida indicating extremely high fire danger. So we want to ask ourselves, well, what do all of these colors mean and where does this index essentially come from? The Florida Forest Service uses what's called the Wildland Fire Danger Index, or FDI, to estimate the potential for a fire to start. And this is based on two fairly straightforward components. One is the relative humidity, because the drier it is, you would expect to see the greater potential for fires to start, as well as what's called the energy release component, which is essentially a measure of the energy around say the front area of a fire where it had the potential to spread. So things like dead branches of trees and things like that can really help to get this to start spreading around. Something to keep in mind is this only takes into account the potential for a fire to start and does not use wind speed as a result, as that's more of a role in the actual spread of a wildfire. So what the National Weather Service does to help out the Forest Service is issue warnings like we saw in Central Florida today, related to conditions favorable for the spread and production of fires. The red flag warning being the big one here. It's based on the most hazardous weather from the top 10% of fires, and simply stated what we need to have this issued in the Tallahassee area: relative humidity at 28%, wind speeds at 15 miles per hour or greater, and this energy release component of 26. Not going to try to get into the math there, of course. What NWS doesn't do is actually make the decisions on how to handle these. Their role is essentially to inform and describe the range of possible impacts as what's called impact-based decision support services. So agencies like the Florida Forest Service then have the ability to decide what they want to do with their resources. Obviously, we hope things moisten up a little bit in central and southern Florida, as the potential for these wildfires is pretty substantial right now if something was to get going. But for now, we're going to take it back out to the wall where Sarah has a look at what's going on across the country.
Thanks, Jake. So it's like really nice on this map if you're looking at this. Really nice spring-like temperatures. Dallas a little bit higher at 81, but pretty much really nice. We do see a little bit cooler temperatures as we go up to Boston at 37, since we're seeing the remnants of that northeastern, so it's bringing those cooler temperatures as that cold front is moving through our area. You can see that high pressure system moving into the southeast, making it really clear out. We do see that rain chance over here. So if you saw that was really cloudy over by California, that's because of this rain over here, which we'll be checking in and looking at that. It's supposed to move in, but by the time it gets to us, it's kind of going to fizzle out. So we're not really going to see much of it in the southeast. And as we can see, that northeastern over there by Maine is fizzling out over there, moving out of their area, bringing in some nice temperatures, cooler weather for them as that cold front moved through. And for this drought monitor, since we did have that cold front, it did ease up our drought over in the southeast. But as you can see, if you get into the Midwest, you can see this red here. They're in a big drought, so they desperately need that rain. So they're still under the drought. But for the southeast, as you can see, there's really much of an improvement, but we still need some work down here, but overall, Jake's going to do our southeast and bring more on that. But for dew point, pretty much, as you can see, it's pretty dry in some areas as those high pressure systems are moving in. We can see in San Antonio, which I'll talk about a little bit more, why they're a little bit warmer in their dew point is because of the wind. And as we get over by the East Coast, high pressure system doing its job. Dry temperatures, Detroit at 11, Atlanta at 28, so really dry outside. So make sure you have your lotion and chapstick as you go out through your day. But for wind speeds, as I said, why the dew point was so high was because these winds are coming from the south, bringing in that Gulf moisture into San Antonio. And you can see all these lovely winds from the north, from behind that cold front in Tallahassee at 12 miles per hour. So pretty windy throughout from those pressure gradients. From those pressures from that low pressure system and the high pressure system, so that's why it's really windy outside. For your watches and warnings though, we do have a red flag advisory over by New Mexico and Texas because they're so dry and they desperately need that rain, so they have a red flag advisory. We do see some wind advisories as well in the brown. Green is the flood aerial advisories, and this light blue is winter watch warnings, which we will see in the future cast. You will see that snow start building up and rain start building up in that mixture there, which is going to bring into their area till tomorrow into Friday. But for tonight, it's going to be really nice, cool temperatures, really nice. If you probably will need a jacket throughout most of the area, really, even for Miami at 59 down there, 30 in Washington, D.C., so pretty nice temperatures all throughout. But for the highs, pretty nice as well again. Salt Lake City at 62, Dallas a little bit warmer there in Texas at 78 and 84, but pretty nice throughout. But for now, I'm going to send it over to Michael with our trivia question.
Thanks, Sarah. So you may have noticed that this March has been much colder compared to the way it was in February. So for that reason, our trivia question for today was, when was the last recorded freeze, meaning the temperatures below 32 degrees, recorded in Tallahassee? So we did have freezes earlier this month, and the first week of March. So our answers are March 22nd, March 31st, April 3rd, or April 23rd. So I don't know if we can get like a freeze in April 23rd, but it is possible. I don't really know the answer. I'm going to let you guys figure that out back at home. But it can get really cold even in the south in spring, so you want to be aware of that. But for now, let's send it back to the wall.
Me, because we're actually not going to the desk. But right now here across Tallahassee, it's feeling pretty nice and beautiful because this northerly wind that we're having is bringing temperatures down a little bit. 65 degrees here in Tallahassee. We actually have the winds coming out of the northwest at 12 miles per hour, so things feel pretty nice when you walk outside. But the dew points is what makes it feel very dry when you walk outside the door. You may feel a little more congested today, even feel a little more, you might need a little more lotion when you walk outside because dew points are in the 20s, even in the 30s in some areas. But the winds are coming mainly out of the northwest, which is why it's making it feel a little bit more chilly when you walk outside the door, and even bringing the dew points down a bit. About 12 miles per hour here in Tallahassee, 7 miles per hour here in St. Mark's, and even 14 miles per hour in Apalachicola. So the winds are a little bit gusty when you walk outside the door, so not really a dress day like Sammy was talking about earlier. Satellite radar is showing not much on the radar because of this high pressure system we're in. So when you walk outside, you'll see the clear, beautiful skies, which is what we need for going in through the next few days, especially after last weekend with all that rain. But as we take a look at the wider picture across the nation, the West is seeing this surge in moisture because of this low pressure system that's making its way onto the coast and will actually make its way on across the United States in the future cast. We'll see, especially the Midwest, we'll see increase in moisture and even see some snow in some areas as well as rain. This will make its way across the United States, but won't really get to us that far. We do have a 20% chance of rain heading into next week. Monday might be our next rain chance day, but we probably won't see it. We'll still keep the sunny skies, mainly some partly cloudy skies, heading into the weekend. Tonight's forecast here across the Big Bend region, Valdosta is going to be chilly tonight, maybe seeing 39 degrees heading into the overnight hours, even into the morning hours as well. But 39 degrees in Perry as well as 41 degrees here in Tallahassee. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, it'll feel a bit chilly, especially like this morning. I know I walked outside the door and I needed a sweater, but by the afternoon it felt a little bit nicer. Heading into tomorrow's forecast, we'll keep the sunny skies just like today. We'll even see the temperatures ranging into the 70s in some areas, 71 degrees here in Tallahassee. May see a cloud or two heading into the afternoon hours, about 70 degrees for Monticello, as well as 68 degrees in Carabel, sunny skies. with 68 in Apalachicola as well. 71 degrees for Mariana. So as we take a look at your 7-day forecast, we'll actually see the sunny skies all throughout the 7-day. Maybe a 20% rain chance for Monday, but temperatures will be reaching into the 80s by Sunday. So overall, it'll be a pretty nice 7-day forecast for us, but I'm actually going to send things over to the desk with Sarah and Jake.
Thanks a lot, Jennifer. That 7-day is really looking fantastic, although tonight's a little bit cool for what's going to be a historic night in Florida State sports.
Yes, we have a lot of events going on. We actually have FSU's men's basketball. They're playing today at 10:06. I don't know if I have to be fancy, but that's 10:06. They're playing at 10:06 in Los Angeles. It's going to be 57 and overcast with a 60% chance of some precipitation there. So
Exactly. Florida State taking on Gonzaga in only the 5th Sweet 16 appearance in program history. This is a chance to get as far as some of the FSU teams have ever done. So really cool stuff.
It's pretty exciting, even though I'm not really into basketball, but it's kind of cool seeing like the school like doing really well.
Elsewhere in the sports world, baseball is going to be taking on North Carolina, although that is a road series. They're heading up to Chapel Hill, and it's going to be a little bit on the cool side up there. 53 degrees is going to be the forecast temperature for tomorrow's game 1 of that series.
And then also we also have women's softball playing as well in Syracuse tomorrow at 6. It's here in Tallahassee, so it'll be 67 and clear since we do have that high pressure system moving in. So it's going to be a really nice day for the softball people.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, if you want to throw about 7-day, as you were talking about the high pressure system really making things fantastic. There's that full 7 days to look at. Warming up, that's the big thing that I'm seeing here, and I consider tonight to essentially be potentially winter's last stand.
Oh, we'll see. I don't know. Florida is Florida, so sometimes it wants to be cool and sometimes it wants to be hot. So for us here in Florida, you always need to make sure your closet has both jeans and shorts because you just never know.
Yeah, as we move on into the rest of the spring, you'll probably be seeing those temperatures get even more consistent. But for now, we have, of course, our big social media presence. We're all over Twitter, as well as Facebook /FSU Weather.
And also, watch us live on YouTube. We're live here, so Monday through Friday, tune in at YouTube.
And of course, don't forget to give the Instagram some love, as I've been saying for about a year and a half now. We're there at FSU Weather as well. Wanted to conclude this last minute of the show by announcing something pretty cool here. We are officially going to be helping forecast for Florida State baseball, starting for next Thursday's Louisville series for the rest of the season. Could not be any more excited.
It's super exciting. Yes, definitely. So yeah, so enjoy these temperatures. We're going to get sun, warm up. It's going to be a really nice weekend to go out, to go to the pool, go to the beach, go to the res. It's going to be a really perfect weekend as we go on to the rest of the week. So yeah.
Thankfully, the clouds and the cooler weather hanging out hanging off just a little bit there until Monday. We see that 20% chance of rain. Shouldn't be anything that ruins your daytime plans like that 5 inches of rain we saw here last weekend. That was a little wild.
Definitely.
But
yeah, but it was a bit exciting though. It was different. It was different.
Yeah. That time of the year before everything turns to 90 degrees and stormy.
Yeah, definitely. But for us here, it's really nice weather, so take advantage of it. But have a great night. I'm student meteorologist Sarah Converse.
And I'm meteorologist Jay Carstens. We'll see you guys same time, same place tomorrow night.